Good morning, dear friends. Welcome to our Spiritist group online. We are feeling very grateful that we have this technology that can unite us in this moment, that we are social distancing, but we are all united together here in our spiritual home. And if you are joining us for the first time, so welcome as well. Please leave your name. We would like to contact you. We want to be available for you for any question after this live presentation. So we are going to start our morning with a prayer. So invite everyone to join us in an initial prayer. Kind Heavenly Father, we are here together for one more opportunity for us to connect with you, with Jesus and the good spirits, to help us in these moments, in so many challenges that we are facing. So we ask, dear Lord, help us to be focused on the lesson so we can learn the word, the lesson of Jesus that is going to empower us in our everyday decisions. Help us to press pause in the turbulent thoughts and the difficulties that we are hearing from outside, so all of us can be together here, focused in learning the word of Jesus, the lessons that's going to help us every single day. So be with us and help all of us to open our hearts and our mind so we can learn a new perspective, a new drop of love, a new drop of hope in our hearts. Thank you, and so be it. So, dear friends, today we are going to talk about our choices. So when you think every single day, we make so many choices. Some choices we are fully aware that we're making in a good sense. And sometimes we make choices that is so out of impulse, we don't even realize the choices we are making. So the talk today is about giving an opportunity to reflect how we are going to make our choices every day. So for instance, when we wake up in the morning, do we have the moment to choose the quality of day we are going to have? For instance, did we wake up in the morning? Do we take a moment to feel our heart, to feel, just to be aware how we are feeling, so we can make a choice what to do with that feeling? Because in that moment, when we wake up, we have a choice to have one day that is calm, or if we ignore the feelings we have or the thoughts that is disturbing us, we can have a very anxious day. So in that moment, we're making a choice, the quality of day we have. So for instance, if we don't know how to make choices, how to suit ourselves in a days, especially like these days that we wake up and we are already bombarded in the morning in the news, so many difficult things that we are experiencing right now. And we get our cellulite bombarded with so many informations. So how we are choosing to face all these difficulties? And when we choose to start our day with a prayer, we are choosing to connect with God. And in this moment, we are choosing to have a more peaceful day. So all the choices we are making has an immense impact in our life. For instance, we eat 3 times a day, sometimes 4 times a day, depending on your belief system. So when we are choosing our food, are we choosing a food that's going to nurture our body? Or we are choosing a food that might unbalance our metabolism, creating disturbance in our health? Are the food that we are choosing to eat is to nurture in our body? Or we are just eating because we are anxious? We kind of use the food a little bit to numb those emotions. So all those decisions, choices that we make, it depend on our well-being. So all the difficult decisions that we have, it's so important that we meditate and reflect what kind of choice we are going to make those decisions. So all the study today is a very simple study that help us to reflect in our capability of choosing. And that's why we bring the doctrine literature to help us, to educate us how we can empower ourselves to make wiser choices. Because depending on the choice we make, we are creating the path for peace, well being, and happiness, or we are creating a path of anxious, anxiety, panic, or suffering. So, all that we are going to study. So, we hear in our doctrine so many books that help us. We want to bring a book that is going to help us to understand. This book is called 2000 Years Ago, a psychograph by Francisco Cândido Xavier by the Spirit of Emmanuel. This is a wonderful book. If you haven't read it yet, we strongly recommend it. It's available in our center, but you cannot get it right now. So it might be available online or some iBook, but it's a wonderful book. In this book, we learn how the impact of our choices in our life educate us to pay attention in the choices we make, because that can make a dramatic impact in our life. So I'm going to say a little bit about this book, just to give you a perspective of what I'm talking about. In this book, there is described one of the incarnations of Emmanuel, the spirit that guides us today. And that time is Publius Lentulus, is all his journey. And I was starting in the book, right in the beginning, he started to have some insights how his consciousness is starting to awaken for the truth. And he started having dreams about reincarnation, and he started checking his belief system. But very soon, he talked with his friend, and his friend reminded, oh, come on, this does not exist. Our beliefs, we have our gods, so many gods together, not just one God, but he could not believe in that, in reincarnation. So he dismissed the intuition that he has for the first time. So he chose to ignore. And many things started happening in his life. And one time he go to be a governor in another city. When he's arrived in the city, one of the Jews that was passing by threw a stone on them in his family, and the stone reached his wife's face. And he gets very abrasive with that young man and sending him to prison. And in that time, sending a person to prison, that meant death or slavery for life. And in the next morning, the father of this young man go and look for him and say, Senator, can you please forgive my son? I promise you that I'll take him out of the city and I'm going to educate him. He will never get close to you again. He's very young and I'm going to take responsibility. And the senator felt compassion for that desperate father, but he could hear his ego saying, you cannot change your word. You are the senator. You needed to show your power. And he had the intuition. He had his consciousness alerting him. Forgive that young man. But he once more chose not to hear his consciousness, and he heard his ego. And then in that moment, he said, no, he's going to be in prison. And with that choice, that father started creating revenge in his heart, the feeling for revenge. And in that moment, Publius Lentulus, with that choice, create a lot of impact in his life. That choice is going to bring so much suffering for him and for his entire family, as in the book is going to develop. Time passed by, his daughter gets leprosy, and she's about to die. By that time, his wife, Lydia, she started believing Jesus because she heard that Jesus was healing many people, and she started to understand the Christianism beliefs. And she begged for him, go and find Jesus to heal our daughter. And he was so desperate because his daughter was about to die. So he goes and looks for Jesus. But in his heart, it was a turbulence because it was so much strong his ego and his beliefs about the goddess. He could not believe in Christianity that we are all brothers and sisters. But he was meditating by the lake, and Jesus came. And Jesus said for him, Senador, why are you looking for me? And he said with such a tender voice that really touched his heart. He could not believe that man was right there. He could not understand that immense energy because Jesus has a wonderful magnetism. And he felt that. And Jesus said to him, I came here not to impose you any belief, but I came here to meet your faint heart. And he says in such a way, of course, what I'm saying here is not just so strong, but when you read it, you feel Jesus is talking with us. He is here to meet our faint heart. And the sentence thing he's dreaming about. And he said, no, you're not dreaming. And that's exactly what he says, what is written in the PowerPoint after long years of deviation from the good path. I'm here for you to find a point of reference for the regeneration of your entire life. And then he says, however, it's in your will to do that now or in a few millennia. And he's so taken by the emotion, but he still cannot choose to take this moment. And we know it took him, Emmanuel, a long time until he find his truth. But now he's here, Emmanuel. And even though he was there, feeling Jesus, feeling the impact of his tender voice and love that he was spreading, he still chose not to follow Jesus. And that also created a long difficulties in his life. And he saw Jesus praying. And when he arrived home, his daughter was healed. And Jesus said to him, the face of your wife is healing your daughter. It's going to heal your daughter. And when he come home and he's so happy and say, oh, we need to give thanks to the gods that heal our daughter. And the little girl said, no, Dad, Jesus healed me. And once more he chose not to follow. And once more create a lot of difficulties for him in his life. So the invitation is here. Jesus is inviting us to observe our actions and choices. If it is now the moment, if it's our choices aligned with the divine laws. Because in the Spirit's book, in these questions, we learn what is meant by a natural law. Natural law is the law of God, and we only suffer when we depart from it. So that's why it's so important that we understand Jesus' lessons, so we have more opportunities to choose wisely. And that's why we study the Spiritist doctrine for us to learn in the book, the Spirit's book, and the question 843. We learn as the answers of the spirits. We have the freedom of thought, and we have the freedom of our choices. So, and the free will is the power that each of us have to choose, and to choose what we want for us. But many times we encounter many things in our life, and we go like a red deer in the headlight. We don't know how to choose, and we act in impulse. And that's why it's very important that we stop a little bit and understand the choices in our hands. There is a very lovely story about an old village in Greece. The wise man, they always make the wonderful choices. And one of the students said, I'm going to get this wise man. I'm going to treat him. I'm going to have a bird in my hands. And I'm going to ask the wise man, is this bird alive or dead? If he says he's dead, I'm going to let him free, prove him wrong. And if he says alive, I'm going to squeeze my hands and I'm going to kill this bird. And either way, I'm going to prove him wrong. So he goes to the wise man and asks, is this bird alive or dead? And the wise man just looked at him and feeling him said, the choice is in your hands. And that's the lesson for us. The choice is in our hand. And that's why Jesus said, enter through the narrow door. And then Matthew, the verse 7, enter through the narrow door. Why Jesus is saying that for us in such imperative way? He's asking us, observe what you're doing with how you're using your free will. Enter the narrow door, that means the door of hope, the door of determination, the door that is aligned with Jesus, the door that requires us to act with integrity, with dignity, the door that requires us to do a little sacrifice to do the right thing. And that's exactly the invitation of Jesus for this current moment. Which door we want to enter in this moment of Christ? Because it's very easy to go to the white door. What is the white door? It's the door of passions, addictions, the door that we don't need to do anything, just go without thinking, without being aware of the consequences of our choices. And that's why so many people go to the white door, because it's the easy path. The enter the narrow door is the door that requires us to be present, to be vigilant, knowing that the choice is not going to be the easier one, but it's the joy that's going to create peace in our life. The door that's going to create us a better future. The choice that's going to help us to put our head in the bedroom, in the pillow, and sleep in peace. So that's the invitation, especially in a moment like that, like today. When you wake up in the morning and see all those news, choose what you're going to do with that, which door you're going to enter. The door that's going to help us to quiet ourselves, to meditate, to pray, to connect with our spirit, to protect it. So in that moment, we are choosing our peace. Because if we don't do that, go to the white door, we go in a panic mode with so many news, fake news. We don't even know which news to follow anymore. So many videos we receive. This doctor from here and it's the governor. It's so many informations. We don't even know how to go. So the moment is for us to choose the doors that's going to bring us peace. And that's why it's so important for us to study the doctrine, because in this observation is with the calm, intelligent, and emotional intelligence, individual overcomes the world, but with the moral intelligence, he overcomes himself. And that's it. We need directions to enter the narrow door. We need direction to make the right choices. And Jesus showed us the target. And Kardec gave us the map. That's so important. If you haven't read the codification yet, this is an invitation. We have so much time now, a little bit more time now being at home. Let's study Kardec. Because in all these books, we give the map of the lessons that Jesus is pointing for us and a true consolation for our being. And the Spirit's book we learn here, and the blessed are the afflicted, the causes of the present afflictions. Let all those who are stricken in their heart by life's vicissitudes and disappointments calmly examine their consciousness. Let them go back step by step to the source, to the misfortune that afflicted them, and see whether they would not often say, if I had it or had not done this or that, I'll not be in such a calamity. And this is the invitation for us. The gospel here educates us. If we are experiencing suffering, difficulties, conflicts in our life, if we take a moment to look back step by step, we're going to see the choice that took us to act in a wrong way, that pulled us away from the divine laws, put it away from the narrow door that create. And that's opportunity for us to understand that we have a freedom of choice. In this book, Joana de Angelis, Moment of Health, she said, we are free to impress on our existence the pattern of happiness or affliction that we wish in our life. So that's very important, because when we don't meditate, what kind of choices I'm making that's bringing this conflict in my life? We don't have the freedom to choose because in reality, our true freedom of choice is to understand that we are a master of our destiny. If we're experiencing the difficulty here, now, it's opportunity for us to renew in every moment. It doesn't matter the mistakes and the choice we did in the past. It matters for us to have a quick look, to learn. But what truly matters at the present moment is for us to understand we are the masters of our destiny. Here, right now, we can choose to change our life for better. Right now, we have the power to choose what's going to be bringing peace in our heart, regardless the turmoils, regard whatever is happening outside of us. This is the moment for us to embrace this lesson. And of course, in the Spirit's book, in the question 845, and ask here the questions. Are it the instinctive predispositions that an individual bring at birth an obstacle to exercise of the free will? So the question is here, yes, we bring our low tendencies for our life. And that tendency coming with such a force sometimes that it take us to reactive rather than active. We don't even have time to look and choose. We just bombarded with that impulse reaction. But here the Spirit said, no matter how much our low tendencies are here present, giving us temptation to do the same thing, they are reminding us there is no irresistible sentiment the individual don't has to resist. And it said very clear, remember, where there is a will, there is a way. So the Spirit is here are telling, no matter how hard it is, we have the willpower to choose a new way. And the willpower is like a muscle. Every single day we need to work on. It's like a muscle that we need to exercise daily. So the more we do this exercise, our will to choose the narrow door, to choose the things that's going to make us happy, the more empowered we feel. And that is going to increase more and more, and we'll be able to, every time, more chance to choose right. So to transform those impulses and negative tendencies to choose a new goodness for us. So how to make sure that our choice is in compliance with the law? God has put a vigilant spark in the bottom of our hearts, which is called consciousness. Listen to it because it will give good advice. So that is what the gospel is telling us. Listen to our consciousness. It's a spark that is there that God gave us because all the laws are there. All the seeds of law, all the seeds of the virtues are right there. So when we learn how to listen to that, we feel more empowered. The problem is sometimes we are so busy and so hectic that we don't listen. Just like Pope Lentulus, he refused to listen, gets torment. But the gospel here tells us when we get to that moment that we said enough of suffering, enough of this craziness, enough of this panic. I want to quiet myself. I want to choose better for me. I needed to strength, find my strength to overcome this wave of challenge that is knocking our door every day. And to help us in this book, Apostille of Vida, unfortunately I don't think it's translated, Emmanuel give us a wonderful text, a wonderful message here. Emmanuel comes also to help us to understand the gospel a little more. That's why the books, Psychograph, Chico Xavier, and Emmanuel, they are wonderful teaching for the lessons from the gospel. And in this book, he asks for us, do a little more. Choose to do a little more. So he says, when you're in a version of explosion, anger, when you are very appraised and you're going to do an explosion of emotion, Emmanuel asks, choose to do a little more. Choose silence. Choose to silence a little more. If we do that, we avoid a lot of complication with other people. We are going to create less and less affliction because we can really hurt us and others when we are in a spell of that anger. And he says, when we are tempted to examine someone else's consciousness and take an inventory of their life, judging others, he asks, choose to have a more generous eyes. Choose to have a benevolent eyes. Because maybe you'll do the same if you are in that shoes. We don't know what that person is experiencing, and it's not our part to investigate someone else. And when we do that, we avoid a lot of complications in our life just to choose to have a benevolent eyes. And he said, when we are discouraged, when we are feeling that we cannot take it any longer, when we just don't want to give up on us, give up on life sometimes. So many people having the feeling they want to give up on life. And he said, my brothers and sisters, choose to engage and work your willpower. Choose to do a little more. Choose to ask Jesus to hold your hands. Choose to resist all those thoughts because a little bit more work, we are going to overcome all that. And he asks you, choose life. Choose to renew your life with healthier choices. Don't ever give up in life. Choose to live. And he said, when the difficulties come in our lives, that you will feel overwhelmed and think, I cannot do this anymore. I just don't know how to overcome all this. The difficulties are so many. The obstacles are piling up and we feel in the edge. And he asks, choose to do a good actions for yourself. Choose to soothe yourself and choose to apply yourself because we have protection. Jesus is protecting us. His hand is offering us. We just need to grab Jesus' hand. So let's choose to do a little more. And when we do that, we connected with spirits around us and we started to listen, the intuition, our consciousness, and we have much more choices to choose the right way. And what is the signs that our choices are aligned with the divine laws? And also in this book, I just got to 3 examples, but in the book there are many more. So selfishness says, I demand. The gospel says, I cooperate. And it's wonderful because when we start learning and paying attention to our choices and our behavior, it is amazing how we start to hear ourselves more. Because so many of us say, I demand this, I'm right. I demand that you see me. I demand to be heard. Sometimes you send a message on WhatsApp, and if you don't hear the answer right away, you start getting aggravated because we are demanding a lot of others because we have so many needs. But the gospel comes here to say, I cooperate. So it's a shift in paradigm. So the question is here, when we have a choice, when we are feeling that I demand energy, we can choose to switch to I cooperate instead of me demanding from the family. How I can ask myself, how can I cooperate with my family? And especially in these moments that we are in our home, so many of us are experiencing a lot of challenges because unfortunately the family were not so used to stay so much more time together these days. So a lot of emotional difficulties is piling up, is showing up. And here is an example. How can we make a complete difference in our family? Instead of demanding, listen to the gospel and say, I cooperate. How can I cooperate with my family? The egoism says, collect for yourself. The gospel says, sow with love for everyone benefit. Here is, I laughed when I was studying this because collect for yourself, and it was just one, we saw everybody buying so much toilet paper. Let's get as many as I want here for me. Collect for ourselves. And here what happened. So here's the moment that is not about collecting all for ourselves. It's a time to spread it for everyone. Has to be the benefit for everyone. And I remember one story about Chico. He was shopping in grocery with his friend, and he was buying tomato. And his friend observed he was going to get one bad tomato and one good tomato, one bad tomato, one good tomato. And he was intrigued and I said, Chico, why are you doing that? Why are you getting those bad tomatoes? And Chico said, but if I get all the good tomatoes, the next person is going to have only bad tomatoes. And that struck me, oh my God, I don't know how to do that because everybody who knows me, I love to cook. And I want the best tomatoes there is for me. So every time I'm going to buy tomatoes, I think, oh my God, shall I buy one old one here? And I can't, I still cannot. But now I get every thought I get one that is not so great. It is the first time. It's the first step. But I see the possibility. I want to seek everyone's benefit. I still don't know how to do that yet regarding tomatoes. But that's just a little joke about how can we observe ourselves in life and see the possibility that we transform that. The selfish says, proclaims I, and the gospel saying we. This is such a shift in perspective because so many of us say, I know better. It's for me. It's all about me. I want the attention. I need to be seen. I this, I that. So many times, if we pay attention, we're going to see in our life how many times we approach as I. When the gospel invites us how can we work together? How we can, in our relationship, connect more? How can we create a life that we both are happy? What I can do so we all be benefit from it. That we is amazing difference that's happening in our life. And especially now with the situation, we are learning to connect, to help one another. Everything that is happening is help us to live the I paradigm and see how can we collaborate here? How can we make this situation work for all of us? So it's very inspiring to study the gospel and see how much we learn and how much we have to learn. And it's easy to know the position in our life by just observing our attitude, observing if we're still in this self-centered mindset or if we are more prepared to follow the lessons of Jesus. And it is a wonderful thing to meditate and reflect and observing ourselves. It's very empowering. We say in the Virtuous Workshop, when we work together here once a month, we said every time we study a lesson, it feels like the mentors put a megaphone in our ear so we can hear ourselves more. So we start meditating and pay attention in our choice. We are going to hear when we are not doing the right thing, when we are not entering in our door. We are going to have more insightful because we put in the light the possibility. We might be aware that we are still not doing the better choices for us, but now we are seeing. And that's the first step for us to transform. It's very, very inspiring. So we know the gospel is the road map of happiness. That's written right in the beginning. So here's the gospel for us to study because the gospel is a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful map that Kardec brought that's collect all the moral teachings of Jesus. So the first step is for us to get the book and read the book. Then we needed to study this book to start to understand a little more. And then we needed to reflect on the lessons. But most important, we need to feel the gospel and act according to the gospel in our life. And especially in moments like this, we have an opportunity to be an example of what the gospel says. We have an opportunity to practice and be witness, be a live gospel in our home, in our community, and especially in our home. It is wonderful for us to study, read, so we can Give an example to our family, the lessons of Jesus. Act with our family because they are the most closest neighbor. And when we give an example, we are contributing for the peace to calm everybody in this moment. And many of our families, members, that's going to be the only gospel they're going to read. Our actions, our example, our choices. So the invitation here is for us to connect more with Jesus, to connect with Him in our daily basis. Because for us to cultivate our relationship with Jesus, we need to do every day a little bit. Because it's like any other relationship. We need to cultivate every day, connecting with Jesus through our prayers, asking Jesus, or if you prefer, connect with God, cultivate your relationship with God. I do both. But it's every day in our prayers. When we wake up in the morning, connect with God and ask in your prayers, Dear Lord, give me the strength to overcome my low tendencies. Give me the awareness to make the wiser choices, the choices that are aligned with your law, so I can start creating here now a moment of peace. Give us the strength to empower us, no matter how difficult the situation, we are in peace because we trust that we've been protected, and we trust that everything is going to pass. We trust that we are not alone. And Jesus said, every time that we are connected with Him, He's here with us because He is always here with us. He has His hand standing for each of us right now. He said, I came here to meet your faint heart. It's up to us to choose to grab His hand and allow Him to be in a boat with us because He can guide us to a peaceful moment. He can guide us through these turbulent seas that we are all experiencing. And most importantly, study the gospel. Give us the certainty, the reasoning faith, and unquestionable certainty that we can do everything through Him who strengthened us. So we can trust that He's here guiding us through the whole process. And I would like to remind everyone how important it is for us to do gospel at home. It's a commitment with Jesus. So that's the way we let Jesus into our home that is so much in need of the light of Jesus. So many people said sometimes that they feel imprisoned in their own home. So now is the moment that God is giving us an opportunity to transform our home in a little piece of heaven. So the gospel help us in this difficult time when we are reunited at home to bring the light of Jesus to our home. It is a commitment that we do with Jesus and the good spirits once a week, same day, same time. Choose a day that you're committed, that there's no possibility that's not going to happen. A day that you reserve to let Jesus in. So it's a simple 25, 20 minutes, simple spontaneous prayer, reading the gospel, comments on the text read. You can do the vibrations for your home, for your family, for your community. Right now, we can do for the doctors and nurses, for the grocery people that are working, the mailmen, everybody that is working to provide service, putting themselves at risk to help the community keep it going. Then we do some requests, and here's opportunity for us to ask Jesus to help us with everything we need. If we are needing more peace, more courage, more determination, more discernment, that's the moment. Ask and shall give. And then we do the closing prayer. And it's nice to have a glass of water. So afterwards we can drink that water because that water has been blessed by the good spirit that join us in the gospel. So with that, I wish everybody a lot of peace. May the light of Jesus be with all of us in these moments where we can have a golden opportunity to meditate, to study, and to practice all the lessons that we have been hearing for so long. Over 2,000 years we have been hearing Jesus saying, I came here to meet your offended heart. So let's grab Jesus' hand. Let's use this time to empower our soul, to change the priorities, and to connect with our family, to spread as much as love as we can, because we have been given opportunity to choose to come to a new and more peaceful world. So, with that, I invite everyone to join us in a closing prayer. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And if you have any question, you can write it down. We'll connect after this broadcast, okay? So let's close our eyes, if you want to, and elevate our thoughts to kind Heavenly Father. We are so thankful we have the opportunity for us to hear once more the lessons of Jesus. We heard his invitation for us to enter the narrow door. We heard this invitation for us to learn how to be an example of the gospel in our own home. So we ask you, dear Lord, in this moment, your protection, sending us all the good servants that help us, the good spirits that can come and visit our home in this present moment. Emanate a vibration of love, patience, courage. So everyone in our home, in our thoughts, in our hearts, in this moment, can be showered of the light of your love, giving each of us the determination, the resilience, the humanity to accept your will, and giving us the opportunity to be more calm and learn how to support ourselves and our family in these moments that is so hard, giving us the determination and the willpower to choose every day to connect with you so we can make our day a little bit more peaceful. And we pray, dear Lord, for everyone that is feeling lonely, imprisoned, everybody that is feeling discouraged. So your light can soothe their heart and help them to raise their eyes and find you. And we pray for all the workers, the doctors, the nurses, everyone that is working the streets to help our community to keep it going. May your light protect them and guide them and support them in this moment, renew their strength. And we pray, dear Lord, for all our brothers and sisters in the entire planet. Give this vibration a potential of an understanding that everything is happening for a reason, that is giving us the opportunity to connect with you and redefine our priorities. Protect all our brothers and sisters, helping them to believe that everything is going to pass. And very soon we're going to all together start living a better days, because a lot of things is coming good out of this, helping all of us renew our hope in our week through the entire week. Thank you, and so be it. So, dear friends, hope you enjoyed these moments that we pray together. So there are more things happening in our Facebook and in our center. So follow up with the information that's posted on Facebook, and we'll see you soon. Okay? All the best. Thank you, and see you then.